Pregame.com.
We have the best non-playoff matchup of the entire bowl season. It's Brad Powers, Pregame.com studios, just off the Vegas Strip. We're talking the Cotton Bowl between the Big Ten champ, Ohio State, and the Pac-12 champ, USC. It's not the Rose Bowl, but it's a darn good matchup.
And we should have an 18 playoff, and if we did, this would have been one great matchup in the first round. Who do you like?
I like the underdog here. We're taking USC. That's right. The Trojans plus 7.5 is the pick. But let's talk about their opponent, Ohio State. In my opinion, they're overpriced and overrated. Don't believe me? Just look at Ohio State's results against the spread each of the last 3 seasons, where they've had a losing record each of the last 3 seasons. You're already paying a premium on the brand, and you're certainly paying a premium on their head coach, Urban Meyer. More on that later, but I think there's some value right now, especially at the plus 7.5, catching the hook on USC.
Yeah, the Buckeyes are a classic bully. They have off-the-chart great stats in terms of yards per play for and against. And when they play a Minnesota or a Maryland, they just annihilate teams like that. But when they play big games or they play close games, all of a sudden they're a completely different team. We saw that when Iowa punched them in the mouth and they just crumbled. But that is not an aberration. That happens a lot against good opponents.
Yeah, and that's an excellent handicap, actually better than just paying a premium. You look at them in big-time performances the last year and a half. You go back to the Michigan game last year, slow start. The college football playoff game against Clemson where they lay a goose egg. This year, they're at home playing Oklahoma. Slow start for them. They ended up losing by double digits. Penn State with revenge off a bye. Slow start for the Buckeyes. On the road against Michigan, win, and they win the Big Ten division for them. Slow start for them. Big Ten championship game, a little bit of slow start. This is a Buckeye team that's actually in these big games playing a little bit tight. And if they're going to get off to a slow start, that's just going to give USC more confidence that they can play with this Buckeye team.
Urban Meyer, really good coach, really good in bowl games. Any concerns about that?
Slight concerns. I mean, he is probably the best bowl coach out there right now, 10-3 straight up and against the spread. But I think you're starting to pay a premium on Urban Meyer. He's only 3-2 in bowl games at Ohio State, and that big trend, he's 48-4 straight up with extra time to prep. 36-13-1 against the spread. He did lose that one time when he had extra time to prep against Penn State. You're definitely paying a premium if you want to back him.
Let's talk power ratings. How far apart are these two teams?
The power ratings say this line should be right around 7.5. I have Ohio State as the number 5 team in the country, just outside the top 4 teams as far as the playoff, and I have USC as a top 10 team.
You know, and I'd make the case that Ohio State really requires 2 sets of power ratings. If both these teams played Rutgers, Ohio State wins by 45, USC only wins by 30, 15-point differential. But when both these teams play a premium team, all of a sudden I'd have their power ratings a whole lot closer together.
That's an excellent point, and not only Ohio State playing a little bit tight when they're playing big-time opponents, at least that's the recent trend, but I think USC, and this leads me in my second main handicap here, I think USC is going to feel disrespected. I think if I'm a USC player, hey, we got similar talent level to Ohio State. We're a 4-5-star type of recruit. How in the heck are we catching more than 7.5 points here? And this is the biggest underdog role for USC here in the Sam Darnold era. And they've only been an underdog 3 times in their last 23 games. And it kind of reminds me of last year's game where they're catching a touchdown plus on the road against that upstart Washington team. And they smacked them around USC and won the game by double digits.
Now, normally the public loves USC, but the public saw what happened in the middle of the year. Lost to Washington State, and of course they had that horrible game against the Irish, and they fell out of favor. But there were some valid excuses for that, a whole lot of injuries.
Yeah, the team that was banged up made a lot of sense. They were the only Power 5 team in college football this season. Didn't have a regular season bye, so they're playing a tough schedule. I mean, they didn't get a lot of layups. They played Texas, and they played Stanford early on. They were banged up from playing a couple of physical teams. The Notre Dame game was a perfect mismatch as far as Notre Dame taking advantage of a banged-up team. But as they got healthier towards the end of the season, won 5 straight games. Sam Darnold cleaned up the turnover, 17-4 ratio, and they're even healthier in this game.
Now, I know that the math models favored Ohio State in this game. That's why the initial money drove the spread up from 6.5 to 7.5. However, I think these intangibles are the correct handicap. Let's make it official.
Let's make this official. We're taking USC plus the 7.5. Ohio State, in my opinion, overpriced. This is a team that's actually had 3 straight losing ATS seasons. You're paying a premium on the brand, and you're definitely paying a premium on their head coach, Urban Meyer. Plus, this is an Ohio State team that's played very close to the vest in these big-time games. And USC on the plus side. they're getting disrespected. You mean to tell me we're getting more than a touchdown here? This is only the third time they've been an underdog in the last 23 games. Reminds me of the game against Washington last year where they won outright as a big underdog. Take the Trojans plus the points here. More videos at pregame.com.